Good morning.
Say he wants scratchies. Waiting for you.
Catching my attention. Sinking or swimming, I still find I'm just along for the ride. So let it rain down, let it pour me out to the water. Let it flood around till I can't ignore. Let it call me.
Before every prep and throughout prep, I always come in to get my body fat scan read, as well as seeing where I am muscle-wise. And this is the very start of prep. So I want to make sure that we have a reference point to look back from on each journey throughout. So with that, can you just tell me a little bit more about what you guys do, and then also compare it to other scans out there?
Yeah, so we use the DEXA scan to be testing body composition. That's considered the gold standard across the industry. If a university is going to do research on body composition, there's no other option than using a DEXA scan. The reason that is it's physically imaging the tissue by using low density x-rays, so the error rate is less than 1% on a DEXA. The other things you may more commonly see are a machine called the InBody, which is basically a bioelectrical impedance machine, the ones you stand on to kind of hold the handles. So that sends an electrical current through your tissue. Based on how fast that current moves through the tissue, it determines what is what,
So
right?
what's the error rate or something like that?
High. We usually see those run about 6 to 7% lower
Oh, wow.
on a DEXA. And the reason that is it sends a current from your foot to your other foot, kind of through your pelvis, sends one through your hand, through your shoulders, and then it estimates everything in the middle based on those two.
Okay.
Guys usually store the majority of their fat here, so it misses that in the average, which drives the average down. So it just doesn't give you a super accurate picture.
Good. Good.
DEXA will give you, of course, your full body composition, but it also tells you right arm versus left arm, right leg versus left leg. And for someone in your position, not only is symmetry important, but if you're saying, hey, the judges told me I need to get more lean mass in my legs, or I need to stop growing my arms, etc., you can use this data to help you make those decisions.
And that's something that we actually went through.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I use that example. And
I use this, like, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I use this because, like he just said, I couldn't grow my arms. Also, I tore my meniscus, right? And I couldn't train my legs. So we had a chance to see kind of where weight was going, or maybe potentially where loss of muscle was, and that's everything in a prep. So coming here, I always say I try not to get too fixated on numbers, right? The scale and then the number of body fat, but at the same time, this has been an ultimate game changer for me to be able to compare preps over preps over preps. I've been coming here since New Year Pro.
Yeah.
You know, ever since I really moved down here to Tampa. So, and now at this point, I have years of data that kind of just show trends of my body over time.
yeah, and I think that's what we see in a lot of new bodybuilders, or where they struggle because they don't necessarily know what to expect in their prep. Now that you know, and you know where some of those weak points are, every prep gets better and more efficient over time, and then ideally your results are better.
All right, Ramon, let's put you on the spot. Who do you think is going to win the Arnold Classic?
Third, I'm gonna go Vitor. Second, I'm gonna go Chiron.
Whoa, that's crazy, bro.
First.
Who you leaving out, Corey or Emmanuel?
Corey Morris, I'm rooting for you, my guy. Corey Morris, I'm rooting for you.
All right, this video is going to release a couple days after, so I hope this doesn't look too bad. Number 3 is going to be Diogo, 2 is going to be Corey Morris, and 1's going to be my man Emmanuel from Alabama taking a dub.
We are at 12% body fat today. if we're comparing that to the last time you scanned, which was really at the end of
End
that
of my
very
prep.
long prep you had, right? You were 6.5% basically back then. But the biggest change you see, as expected, is as we put that weight back on, we see the fat pounds come back on. So we have about 30 pounds of fat, but then we really see that lean mass or muscle mass come back on. We're at about 223 pounds of lean, right? So both of those are about 10 to 15 pounds up
Okay.
from where your end was at your prep, right?
Yeah.
So, our weight is significantly higher, as you would expect the end of like an off season to be. And this is kind of really your baseline now. What we ideally want to hold on to is that lean mass as long into your prep as possible, right?
Yeah.
We see everyone kind of start to catabolize themselves too early in the prep, but we've learned ways to avoid that. But now we have baseline numbers to track as we get deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and again, using data to compare against data, when I was competing last year during that long run of 5 shows, I saw the muscle mass compared to body fat start to really, like you said, cannibalize itself, going down and down and down. And that was also a big reason I made that decision to pull back and not do a 6 show, was because I was doing myself a disservice. My body was tired, it was ran down, and it just wasn't able to hold, and that's a reason why that pop just wasn't necessarily there on stage, and we have the data to back that. So here, again, even though the fat mass went up, sitting at 12%, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the last time I started prep, I was like 10 and a half, maybe closer.
Yeah,
to.
you were 11.1.
Okay, so I was
So
11%.
yeah, so just slightly less, but for someone with as much lean mass as you, that number is
Yeah.
negligible. I think pretty close. I think that's where we're like, okay, we want to just try to maintain as good as we can in this prep.
Now, with that being said, right, I'm not going to say conditioning. I say a combo of conditioning and the fullness and pop. Where do you think that an ideal position, body fat percentage-wise, will be me to be one of the best in the world this year?
When you're stepping on stage,
Yeah.
we got to be to mid fives.
Mid fives?
I think that's where we want to be, mid to high five, somewhere in that 5.5, 5.9 range. And that's totally doable. I mean, if you look at where we were at the end of our non-popping type look, we're at like 6.5, 6.9,
Okay.
right? So take another % off of that. As you maintain that lean mass, that's probably what's going to make that % difference. That's what's going to make us look like that on stage. And like you said, it's not just about the numbers, right? A lot of it's how are you using those newly gained muscle pounds in your posing, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But data is data, it's helpful.
All right. Numbers don't lie.